search how to unzip a file. Once you do that, you're going to have a folder just like this. It's going to say Stinger Transition. You'll press open. And now you'll see here that we have our Stinger transition. Now the transition point is going to be extremely important. This is what's going to make it look smooth and when you transition from scene 1 to scene 2. So if we leave it at 0 and we hit preview, you're going to see here that it's going to switch from A to B. The goal here is that you don't want to see the B before the transition happens. So when I hit preview, see that I saw the B first and then the transition happened. That's not what we want to accomplish. So if you're using a Stinger transition from Stream Designs, typically the sweet spot is 750. Now this is going to be different based on the Stinger transition that you get and where you get it from and how long the Stinger transition is. So you have to just adjust this little by little to be able to go ahead and find the sweet spot. So now that I have it at 750, if I come and hit preview, you'll see the transition will happen first, then the B appears, and that's exactly what you want. And then you also want to select audio fade style. You want to make sure this isn't cross fade. What this means is that when you're transitioning from scene A to scene B, that the audio is not going to cut out. It's just going to fade in and you'll continue to hear music and everything else that you're playing on your stream. So when here's a quick and easy way to level up the quality of your stream.
Okta secures AI, so you'll feel good turning it loose to do its job, knowing the right controls are in place.
Hello, my YouTube friends. Today I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about how transitions work in OBS. It's really easy. So you know what? Let's get to it! Now everything I'm going to show you today is either built in or there is one simple plugin. There is going to be a link down in the description so you can check those out. Let's not waste any time. We're going to jump right in. Alright, so we have a simple cut transition, which basically looks like this. We can drop this down and go to a fade, which gives you a little bit more time in between. Now the standard is 300 milliseconds, but if we bump that up, we could make this look pretty cool. I like that personally. Let's bump that back down for now. The next standard one is going to be your Luma wipes. There are a massive collection of Luma wipes in here. So if we go in here and go to properties, we can select from a busload of different Luma wipe transitions. So if we do a preview, we can see what they look like, and I'm not going to ruin it for you. I'm going to let you go and mess around with the Luma wipes and see what you like, because you're going to find so many in here that you like. This really does mean that you don't necessarily have to go and create your own transition because you can find it in here. So let's just go with the clock one, and we can modify this even further. If you look and see, we can go down here and we can change this back to that 800 milliseconds, and now we get a nice slow clock. I mean, it's so cool. So that's Luma Wipe. I'll change this back to 300 again. And we're going to go and I'm going to show you the Stinger transition. So if we click modify on here, we could see how this works. So we're going to add our own video file. And I've done a bunch of videos on how to create these files. So we could preview the transition. That's what it looks like, right? And all we need to know is how long the transition is, how many frames, because we want our transition point to obviously be in that same number of frames. Now we could also switch it to a time period if we want, so then we want to preview it and see if the screen is fully blocked when it goes from B to A, which it is. Now we can actually have audio in there and monitor the audio or have a crossfade. And you generally want to have crossfade for any kind of audio that you do in a transition. That way it keeps the audio steady across the two different scenes. And that's important because I'm talking on this scene and I'm also talking on this scene. And I talked over that transition. If you don't have crossfade on, it's going to cut and then pick you up talking on the other scene. And that's not what you want. So that's how the Stinger works. And the last one is the Move Transition, which is a really cool plugin. What that enables you to do, as you can see there, is my camera will just move around from one scene to another. And you can really utilize this in a lot of cool ways. So let's duplicate scene 2 here. And I'm just going to take this camera and move it over here, right? And now the camera's just going to zip across the scene, and we could duplicate it again, and I can move it up here, and now we can zip this camera wherever we want. So basically, let me go into here, into the Move Transition properties, and all you really have to do is load it up. You don't have to mess around with much, but there are a lot of different options that you can choose. Ease in, ease out on the different stuff that moves. You can select up here how you want to select what moves and what doesn't. So names match, the full names, the numbers match, the last word match. You can select it with nested scenes or cache